You're listening to the Confidence Alchemist radio show with your host, the Confidence Alchemist himself, Keith Blakemore Noble. To find out more, visit theconfidencealchemist.com. But not before you've listened to this episode of the Confidence Alchemist radio show
of 2018. Doesn't matter whether you're listening to this live or whether you're catching it on a replay or whatever, you are most welcome. It's fantastic to have you here. And thank you so much for joining me. So, what are we going to be talking about in this one? This one, today, we are talking all about how to nail your resolutions. Because a lot of people make a big thing of having New Year's resolutions. Start of the year, this whole new year, new me, here's a list of all my resolutions, things I'm going to do for this year. And you may well be one of those people who does exactly that. So they make resolutions. But the problem is, the vast majority of people don't end up sticking to their New Year's resolutions. The vast majority of people end up failing to keep their resolutions. Their resolutions kind of fall by the wayside, often very, very quickly. As I record this, as this is going out live on the 11th of January, already you can bet there will be plenty of people who have already had their resolutions fall by the wayside. Which is a massive shame. It's a big shame because New Year's resolutions are a very good idea. It's great to have changes that you want to make, things you want to improve in your life. It's a great way of doing it. But if we're always going to fail at the first hurdle, what if there was a better way? What if there was a better way? So that's what I thought we would take a look at today. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what resolutions actually are. And we're going to take a look at what happens, why most fail. We're going to take a look at why resolutions fail. And really, they're kind of set up to fail right from the start. That's the biggest problem. And we're also going to take a look at how you can give yourself the best possible, what's the word I'm looking for? The best possible chance of succeeding with your resolutions. Because just imagine this for a moment. Just imagine that there was a way in which you could create resolutions so that you easily and effortlessly are able to start achieving them almost without even having to consciously think about them anymore. Such that your unconscious is already on the lookout and making these things happen for you. Just imagine if that was possible. How awesome would that be? So that your resolutions, right from the outset, are set up to win and they're set up to happen. And it all happens without you having to consciously remember all the time what your resolutions are. How fantastic would that be? Hopefully you're saying that's going to be fantastic, because that's what I'm going to be sharing with you for the bulk of today's episode. I'm going to be sharing with you a means of creating such resolutions. So let's dive in. What is a New Year's resolution? A New Year's resolution is basically it's another way of saying a goal. That's what they are. So whether you're listening to this around New Year, whether you're listening to this halfway through the year, whenever you're listening to this is relevant because it is goal. New Year's resolutions are a posh or a fancy way of saying setting a goal. And all the same rules about setting goals apply with resolutions, and all the same reasons that they fail. They fail for the same reasons that so many goals fail. So this is going to help you whether you're doing resolutions or goals or wherever you are, whatever you're planning in life. This is going to help you with those. Right, let's take a look then. Why do most fail? Well, the reality is that when we set our goals, set our resolutions, we just we set ourselves up to fail. And here's a few kind of five or six points as to why they will tend to fail. Excuse me, I just moved the microphone there. Sorry about that. So let's take a look at top 5 reasons why goals fail, resolutions fail. First one is, who is it for? Who is the resolution for? Is it actually for us, or is it for the benefit of others? Because if we're doing it for the benefit of others, already we are at a massive disadvantage. Because we're not doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for others. We're not emotionally invested in it. Take, for example, someone who's decided this year, I'm going to give up smoking because my partner would like me to give up smoking. My girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, whatever, wants me to give up smoking. So, you know what? Yeah, I'll give up smoking. That's not an uncommon resolution, and it's also a resolution which very, very rarely, if ever, succeeds. Why? Because giving up smoking is hard. Becoming a non-smoker can be very hard for people. It can be hard for you when you're doing it for yourself, but when you're doing it for someone else, you don't particularly want to give up. It's someone else wants you to give up. As soon as you start hitting the hurdles, bam, away goes your motivation. So when we set resolutions or goals, make sure you're setting it for you, not for others. That's one big reason why they fail. We set it to benefit other people, not because it's something we truly want ourselves. Another one is we make them too vague. For example, I want to have a pay rise. Okay. Suppose you go to your boss and say, hey, you know what, boss? I've been working really hard this year over the past 12 months, and I've done a lot for the business, brought a lot of revenue in for the business. You know what, boss? I think I deserve a pay rise. Your boss says, yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'll give you a pay rise. Look for it in your next pay packet. Yay, fantastic. You've set the goal of getting a pay rise. You've got a pay rise. Woohoo! End of the month comes around. You look at your pay packet. What's this? What's this? What's this? Your pay rise is 1 penny. Huh. You got the goal. You got the pay rise. It's not what you wanted, but it's what you stated. You said you wanted a pay rise. You got a pay rise. 1 penny a month. Woohoo! You got to be specific. I saw somebody earlier today actually online was talking about their goals. And one of the things they said they wanted was a car, which is a perfectly good goal to go for. But they then immediately diluted it by then putting in brackets after it, or motorhome ? Now, what they've done is instead of they've just made this really, really vague. I'd like a car or a motorhome or something. It's now very, very vague. Get specific. What specifically do you want? Do you want a car? Do you want a motorhome? How many people do you want to be able to fit in the car? What kind of car is it that you want? Get specific about it. Another thing that causes us to fail with resolutions and also with goals in general is we often next week ourselves or next month ourselves. Next month, I am going to be Salesman of the Month. All right, great goal. When is next month? Next month never actually arrives. And look at it this way. Suppose you lend me some money. And I promise that I will pay you back next month. That's when I'll pay you back next month. Okay? That's all well and good. We come to the last day of this month. Yep, I'm going to pay you back next month. I will pay you back next month, I promise. Go forward one day. It's now the first day of the following month. You come to me. Where's the money? Hey, I said I'm going to pay you next month. It's not next month. It's this month. Now is this month. I said I'll pay you next month. Next month never actually comes. Next week never comes. Tomorrow never comes. The only time that we can actually do anything is now. Now is the only time we can make any changes. And when we next week, next month, next year ourselves, we're always putting it out there in the future, in an unattainable future, a future that will never actually arrive. Next month will never arrive. Next month is always next month. Now, I know I can hear some of you going, oh, but next month is February. No, February is February. Next month is the month after this one. At the moment, the next month will be February, but when February comes, next month is March. And if all I've committed to is next month I will do this, it's never going to happen. Is this making sense? Hopefully you're getting this. Another one is motivation. Now, motivation can be a very, very interesting thing. We can have what is known as negative or away from motivation, or even pain-driven motivation, all names for the same thing. Or we can have toward motivation, towards, reward, positive motivation, however you want to call it. I'll give you an example of each. Negative motivation might be, if I put my hand on the hot stove, I'm going to be motivated to remove that hand very quickly, yeah? I'm going to take that hand off. I am motivated to move my hand because of the pain. The pain is what is motivating me to move the hand. But what happens, as soon as I take my hand off and it's no longer burning, I kind of stop moving it. I don't keep moving that hand. So my motivation is very, very quick, very intense, and very short-lived. And that's away from motivation. As soon as I've got away from that pain, I'm no longer motivated to move that hand. On the other hand, toward motivation, I might be motivated towards the garden, for example. I don't know why. I'm going to have a cup of tea in the garden. I'm motivated toward the garden. It may take a little longer for me to get there. It may take a little longer for me to get started. But I will keep going until I'm actually at the garden. And the key thing is, if I decide I'm going to have my tea in the garden, I get to the garden. For some reason I have to go back in the house to get, say, a book, I'm still going to be motivated to go back to the garden again, because the garden is what's motivating me. Being in the garden is what's motivating me. The positive thing, what I'm going towards, as opposed to what I'm getting away from. Where does this apply with resolutions and goals? Well, if you set the goal, I don't want to be broke. You're moving away from being broke. Fantastic. You get a few quid. You're no longer broke. Motivation kind of goes. Because you got a few quid, you're no longer broke, the motivation's disappeared. And then you end up spending that money and you become broke again. So, oh my word, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be broke. Oh, I've got some money, that's all right, I can chill, I can relax. Do you know of anyone who goes through that sort of cycle? I know I certainly used to. You broke, then you got some money, then you broke, then you got some money, you broke, you got some... Never-ending cycle, right? Whereas if you have towards motivation, it's not, I don't want to be broke, but it's, I want to have X amount of money in the bank, for example. Now you've got something you're moving towards. And if you start having slightly less than that, once you've achieved it, if you start having slightly less than that money, you're going to be motivated to top it back up again before you reach the point of being broke. It's because you're motivated towards what you want rather than away from what you do want. And the final of the five main things that cause people to fail in goals or resolutions is negatives. A negative. The unconscious mind cannot process negatives. The way a friend of mine wants to put it, you can't think about what you don't want to think about without thinking about it. Think about that. You can't think about what you don't want to think about without thinking about it. What do I mean? All right. Right here, right now, I do not want you to think of a green elephant. Do not think of a green elephant. Think of anything you want, but just not a green elephant. What are you thinking of? Of course, a green elephant. Now, sometimes people say, but Keith, I'm thinking of a purple rhinoceros. All right. How do you know that's not a green elephant? The only way you can know that that purple rhinoceros is not a green elephant is to think of a green elephant so that you know the purple rhinoceros is not the green elephant. You had to think of a green elephant. And so it is when we set goals, set resolutions. I'm not going to be fat. This year, I'm not going to be fat. I'm not going to be fat. I'm not going to be fat. The unconscious mind can't process negatives. It can't think about negatives. All it hears is, be fat, be fat, be fat. And you kind of end up focusing on being fat. And then wonder why you end up still being fat by the end of the year. Man, this is crazy. All of these things. How on earth can I possibly make goals or make resolutions if I've got all of these pitfalls? Well, there is a very, very powerful formula that I've got, a goal creator formula, which I share with clients, and I'm going to share that with you today. I'm going to share with you the goal creator.